Hi there, I'm Nathan. I go by Peteparker, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. If I want to keep buying them, I gotta review them. So this review is going to be on the Mighty Thor number 2. This is written by Matt Fraction and drawn by Oliver Coipel. I believe it's Olivier. But let's get into it. This is a continuation on from the first issue of this series. It's very Thor-oriented, as you can tell on the cover. Basically, Thor and Sif are training a group of Asgardians to be new defenders or a new team. Or they're just training younger people. And Loki's on this team, so they have him fight a rock colossus or something like that, which I get the feeling has been around before. I remember seeing it on a site or two. But anyway, and then you have some story about what Odin's doing with the seed that Thor brought back from the splitting of the World Tree. This is all really in-depth stuff. Basically, he sent Thor to go get the seed at the bottom of the World Tree. The World Tree had been broken or whatever, and he brought it back, and Matt signaled to Galactus that there's a lot of energy in Asgard, and Galactus wants to come and eat that energy because it could sustain him for a long, long time. So basically, at the end of the book, you have a little bit of talk between Odin and Heimdall about what he's doing and whether or not Heimdall believes in him. And then you get the Silver Surfer showing up, warning people in the area that Galactus is coming. You know, it's what he does, right? And then going to talk to Odin about giving up the seed. And then at the very end, while he's talking to Odin, you got Thor throwing the hammer straight at the Silver Surfer here, right in the back, which I thought was very uncharacteristic of Thor. We'll talk about that in a second. So, my feelings about this book. This book is so gorgeous. I mean, I knew I liked Coipel's art before, but this book really seals it. And, you know, I don't particularly care for Thor, but Thor doesn't really have a ton to do with this story. It's more to do with all of the Asgardians together, along with a Galactus Silver Surfer story. So you really can't beat that. And then you got giant Asgardian monsters in here too, right? So you get a lot of different aspects in here, and it's really pretty cool. I mean, page after page after page in here, I'm just, really excited about what I'm seeing, and it's probably a lot of the coloring too. It's just beautiful, and it's not just these kind of splash pages either, but it's like the way that they're laid out, or the silentness of something like this. Odin sitting in the room in his room on the edge of his bed, looking at the sea. It's Heimdall in the middle here, the space in his face, how big he is at the same time. I mean, even when he puts the seed away in the enchanted armor or whatever, like all the inner workings of the enchanted armor, and then this beautiful thing where they look like they're in the armory, but they look like they're in a church down there. It's just like the art is so good in this. I would buy it twice just because of the art. And then there's little details, right? So you got this amazing picture of the Silver Surfer flying by the diner, and then you look at the diner sign and there's part of the E missing out of the diner sign. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't put that kind of detail in there and think about it, right? But it's really cool how it's there. Every page is just great. Now, the story is an interesting premise, but we've kind of known the premise from the beginning of even hearing about this book being made. Galactus is going to eat Asgard, right? That's the entire premise, and basically that's what we're still building up to. And just now, you've got a little tiny bit of backstory. There was a lot of backstory in the first one, going to gather the seed and fixing World Tree stuff, and then you get a little bit of that in here, but most of it is propelling the story forward towards the Silver Surfer meeting all the Asgardians, bringing on the coming of Galactus. So, that being said, and then you got a really cool preview of the next issue with Galactus in front of in front of Asgard. There's also a small bit in here where the Silver Surfer goes to talk to the people of Broxton, Oklahoma, which is right outside of Asgard. In this book, which is not the same continuity, it could be early on, before Asgard fell or whatever. I'm assuming that's when it is, because Asgard is still next to Broxton and it's kind of put together. Oh no, it's not. Pardon me. They showed that in the first one. So I don't know why he's warning the people of Broxton. That's really confusing. So if you remember in the first one, no, I'm getting Fear itself mixed up. You have to excuse me again. So this has to be happening before Siege of Asgard, because Asgard is still next to Broxton, and Silver Surfer goes to Broxton to warn those people before he goes to the Asgardians to talk to him about it. So I don't particularly care for the comments or the interactions between the characters in Broxton. There's too many of them with little to no detail about them. But it was kept short, so that was okay. There was also some interaction between the team that Thor and Sif were training and the rest of the Asgardians after their training session, which was cool. It was just enough to be satisfied with that and then can move forward. But man, the story's okay. It's interesting. It felt like we're kind of still getting to the point of the entire series, but maybe that's my bad for knowing what the series is about beforehand. But the art is so good that you'd be a fool not to pick this up. It's really, really good. I mean, everything's so professionally done. So if you're digging Thor at all, if you like Silver Surfer or Galactus at all, you probably really like this book. So I had some hesitations last time because they really focused on the people of Broxton, but this one is really good. So there you go. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 just because the art's so great. The story is good enough that I was really happy with it throughout the whole thing. But there you go. 5 out of 5, Mighty Thor number 2. This is going to be a really great series if it continues on like this. There you go. Another one down. So you can follow the rest of my reviews on Spidey207 at YouTube or Peteparker everywhere else that there are video reviews of comic books. You might look for that somewhere and then you'll find me too. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.